Well, people, thanks to DDA, right? Hooked me up with this new film, Dr. Jekyll. And yes, it is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's based on that mythos, right? It is directed by Joe Stephenson, written by Dan Kelly-Mulhern. It is produced by Stevenson, along with Guy de and Liam Coots. It's executive produced by Jamie Anderson, Christine Angamar, Patrick Fisher, Piers Hunt, and Andrew Keats and Richard Condor. Blair Mowat handles the music, Bridget Durkin, cinematography, Natalie O'Connor is on production design, art direction. We have Jacqueline Fay, Libby Da Costa handled the costume design, hair and makeup and special makeup. We've got Lucy Vick, James Olney, Lucy McLaughlin, Abby Lilly, and Francis Hoonsome. Right, so our cast. We have got Eddie Izzard as Dr. Jekyll. Right, Scott Chambers is Rob. His brother Ewan is played by Morgan Watkis. We have got Lindsay Duncan is, I think it's Sandra, right? There's Tony Jawadena as Malcolm. Maeve is played by Robin Cara. Then we've got Isabel Inchabold as Nina's mother, right? Simon Callow, I believe. Actually, I can't remember who Simon plays, but he's in it. And Jonathan Hyde as well. So the gist of the story is Dr. Nina Jekyll made herself a fortune in the pharmaceutical industry, rubbing shoulders with the elite and becoming a household name. But her success came at a cost. And after scandal forced her out of the spotlight, she now lives in seclusion with her demons. In need of an assistant, Jekyll hires Rob, an ex-con straight out of rehab, trying to get back on his feet. However, it soon becomes clear that there are evil forces at play, and Rob's wits are tested in a game of cat and mouse with a mysterious and manipulative entity. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, right, there is a lot on the shoulders of this film. You know what I mean? Like the original Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde even, right? That was from a short story, a collection. Ugh. It was The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from Robert Louis Stevenson, and it came out in 1886. Right? There have been so many different adaptations of that. So you've got this beloved story, a beloved story, that has even made it into the zeitgeist, right? We refer to it when someone's got, like, you believe they've got a split personality, right? So all of that, there's all of that. And then it's from Hammer Studio. Right, Hammer was around from 1934, or it might be in 37. It's a long time, right? It's a long time. And it was a staple of UK filmmaking back in the day. Dracula, Frankenstein, all of those, The Mummy, right? Some famous people, Peter Ustinov and, you know what I mean, Christopher Lee, just all of those people have been in Hammer, right? But we now have a new iteration, Hammer Studios, right? John Gore has brought it back. So not only is this film, Dr. Jekyll, playing with a story of old that everyone loves, but also it's the launch piece for this new iteration of Hammer. So does it do it? Well, people, it really does. It really does. This is great, right? Because they do some new things here, which is always interesting. We start off, and Rob, he looks very dejected. He's lying on the sofa, looking at the news, right? Then we get a montage of articles about Nina Jekyll, right? And the fall from grace and all of that. So then Ewan, Rob's brother, comes into the room and they're talking, right? Ewan has got Rob a job because Rob, you know, he's had his troubles with the law. He was a drug addict. He's now kicked it, but it's difficult finding work. And trust me, the job center is not fun, right? It's not a fun place. And you can feel dejected after a visit. And Rob really does, right? Really does. But Ewan's got him a job, right? What, a job interview? You know what I mean? You still got to do that. So we see that. And I mean, just those scenes in themselves let us know how great Scott Chambers is in this role, because he's able to give us all of these emotions, right? The dejection on the sofa, then the joy of the job interview. But when he thinks his brother thinks he's gone back to drugs, there's that despair and shame and just, you know, look, I swear, it's all there. Scott does this tremendous job, right? In the interview, we can see that nervous energy, right? But then just the sincerity and the passion is great, right? It's really done, it's really done well. Then you've got Lindsay Duncan as Sandra, who is this very protective, you know, assistant to Nina Jekyll. And Lindsay just, I mean, look, we know she's a legend of the screen, and she shows it with this performance. Really does. Right? You buy the chemistry between Rob and Ewan. You know, Morgan and Scott really have a fantastic bond here. So you buy them as brothers. You know, those interactions, they really feel playful and sincere, and just everything else we see during this film, you know. And Eddie Izzard, I mean, it isn't the first time Eddie has acted, right? But I think a load of people still look at him as a comedian, or him or her. I always forget how Eddie wants to be referred to, but Eddie kills it. Eddie kills it because there is a subtle menace, a subtle tension within that character that Eddie brings to life. And, you know, all of those little switches, just the mannerisms, the movements. Whew, people, people, you know, it's great. And there's a lot about detail here. There's a lot about detail, right? Just the cigarettes, right? The nail polish, just all of these little things, these subtleties help us understand who we are dealing with at that moment in time, you know? And then it's the speech patterns, all of this fine little, you know, maneuvering to understand personas, right? Then it's just these situations, the angles that we're given help us really with certain moments, right? And just the way the camera follows people and moves. And yeah, as I said, this is a really interesting take on this story. It really is. And when you think about all the versions that have been, even Stephen Moffat did, he did a great TV series. So we have all of these different iterations, right? So to be able to, stand with all of those great ones, right? Stevenson, there must have been a weight on his shoulders and everyone involved, but man, they handle it nicely, right? They handle it as if it's not there. And so we don't get a film, tiptoeing, right? Scared to maneuver itself. We get something that feels free in approaching this story in this different way, without being gimmicky, right? I think that's what this does. That's what it does. And we get the ending, man, there's some things that happened that I did not see coming, right? I was definitely like, oh shit. Okay. Like, because I think you suspect something, but not quite what we see, you know? So it's, oh man, it's always nice when you get those twists, So for a launch title of this new Hammer iteration, right? This really does well, really does well, sets a great foundation for, them to build on. And you wonder to yourself, will Hammer Studios be the UK's version of Bloomhouse now? Right? Because it was back in the day. Like they did other genres, not just horror, but I think everyone just equates Hammer to horror. But it's like, will this now be that synonymous UK studio for this great content? And we got, good studios in the country, don't get me wrong, but something that does carry the torch for that genre, it's going to be interesting. I think this has definitely um you know made huge leaps in the right direction, right? Because we have this fantastic story, this cast that just gives us so much, so much. I do want that chessboard. Like there's a chessboard in here that is pretty slick. It's pretty slick, man. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's just so many things that just make this, movie sing. So it was I very much enjoyed it. It will be out, people. It will be dropping on the 27th, right? It's on the 27th of the month, I do believe. So yeah, you will want to you'll definitely want to mark that down and bring some fun into your life, because yeah, I think you're going to enjoy this one. I really do. If you like a good kind of thriller horror, you like those classic, monsters and themes, that's all you, then Dr. Jekyll will be ticking all of those boxes. So 27th of October, people, get ready, because the hammer's getting dropped.